Testing. We are alive. We are alive. We are so alive now. We are so alive now. One, two, three. Two, two, three. All right. Today we're talking about how little tiny monsters, little human-shaped animals look at you when you start to awaken, when you start to own your chosen status, child of the Most High God status. Little tiny children, and I'm talking about age 5 and younger. Some children hold on to this a little longer, but it's rare in today's society, especially with these phones and all these other little devices that turn people's brains off. But little tiny children will look at you differently. They will notice that there is a light about you that indicates you are one of the chosen. You are one of the apex humans. You are one of those souls, one of those virtues, one of those angels that incarnated here to accentuate the harmony and beauty of this world. And you'll notice that. Children will look at, I've noticed for the last couple of years, children will stare at me. They look at me differently. Maybe it's because when I see them, I go, oogly boogly, oogly boogly. No, I don't do that. I don't do that to children. But, I'm just walking and living my life, and I notice these two tiny little cute eyes staring at me. And I look at them and I just send them love from my soul because they are just little tiny humans, little tiny monster humans. But you'll notice that they look at you differently. And there's a reason for that. I'm going to share that with you today. When I was a child, I was one of those unusual children that kept that parasympathetic leaning autonomic nervous system activation going almost until age 7. When I turned age 7, I shut it off consciously. I talked to God. Unconsciously, it was way children talk to God, which is more direct and clear, but it's unconscious. And that's that subconscious brain activating system that children live in was on for me until about age 7. But most children, it turns off between age 5 and 8, somewhere in there. I held on to it a little longer. But what I noticed when I was a small child, and I have very vivid memories from my early childhood, all the way to before I could walk. Very vivid memories. One of the things I remember was that people sometimes had light around them. And in some communities, they call this the aura, whatever. But there were people that had light around them. And in some cases, some of them, there was so much light around them, white light, that you couldn't even see the person from my perspective as a small child. And I remember this specifically when I was in Alabama, probably around the age 2 or 3, somewhere in there, maybe 4, and in Florida, because that was in Florida and Alabama at different stages during my early childhood. But I remember we were watching a pastor speak, and there was so much light around him, I could not even see him. It was like he was like this little shadow. His body was like a little shadow, but it was just bathed in light, white light. It was like he wasn't even standing there. I was wondering, why was everybody looking at this light? But it was, in retrospect, remembering the experience, I was a pastor, and I remember that people were walking to the front of the church to be baptized because they wanted to give their life to Christ. And I thought that was such a powerful experience, and it stayed with me forever. I still remember that. But that was one of the many perceptions that I had as a small child, was this amazing bright light around certain people. And that one specifically stood out because she was cute, because everyone was walking toward this person, and the people around me were validating the light that was shining out of this pastor. And so I bring that up to let you know that when you accept your chosen status, when you will decide that, Lord, I know you've called me, and I know you have me here to serve this human story in a great and mighty way, your light will begin to shine very, very differently than it did when you were pretending, hiding, staying in the shadows, shrinking yourself so that no one would see your brilliance. Children will see it. Animals will notice it. You'll notice that birds will come very close to you. You'll notice that small children will feel comfortable staring at you, just staring. And it's not a staring of fear, it's a staring of admiration, that little children don't have filters. They are pure, beautiful beings. They are God's greatest angels. They are God's servants. in this world. They're God's greatest and mightiest warriors. And they will look at you and say, oh, that one still's got it. Now, again, they don't always have the words to describe it, but they know that what they're looking at surprises, amazes, and stops them in their tracks. So when you notice that, maybe wink at them or just send them love from your heart. Perhaps don't stare